Drones. They are everywhere today. From Amazon to agriculture and even to the war in Ukraine, drones are impacting our wars, our industrial, and our commercial way of life. But when will they arrive on your doorstep? Tune into this week's episode of Curly Brace Podcast, and we will discuss just how drones and AI are coming together to bring whole new aspects to our lives. Also, if you have not yet subscribed or follow us, please do everything. We are on Twitter, we are on YouTube now, and we have always been everywhere that you can get your podcasts. Hello and welcome to Curly Brace Podcast. I'm Rocket, your host and cloud architect. Red, your other host and full stack developer savant, is with us as well. Red, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? I am excited to talk about our topic today.
Yeah, me too. And we also have Greg today. Greg, how's Colorado treating you?
Oh, it's going good. Happy Memorial Day.
Yeah, happy Memorial Day to you too, man.
Nice having a day off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. So today's topic is drones. And we're going to talk about everything there is to know about drones, at least from a very high level. Greg is with us to, ask some questions. And Red and I are going to do our best to answer, some of the technology and the history behind drones. So I'm going to hand it off to Red to kind of lead us down just a summary of everything that we're going to be talking about today and what drones are doing now.
Yeah, so I'm just going to start off by, I just want to say, there's a common phrase used when we talk about drones, and mainly in the military. Are you familiar with the term UAV?
Absolutely. It's
unmanned
aerial vehicle.
Yeah.
Yep, unmanned aerial vehicle.
I got the un.
So an unmanned aerial vehicle or a drone are remotely controlled or autonomously controlled by somebody who's just far away, who's not sitting in the cockpit, right, and flying it around. So
right.
like a video game, right?
Right.
They can be used for all kinds of things: photography, videography, so like filming people, delivery, surveillance, which also goes back to photography and stuff. They can be used for military applications, which we'll get into later.
Right.
All kinds of things. And the delivery, all of it just gets deeper and deeper. When I say delivery and photography, there's like a million things you can do with that.
Oh, yeah. Because it's literally, when we think of drones today, the most common application of drone is the quadcopter, right? You think of the quadcopter or 6 or 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just all these propellers pointing straight up in the air. We're not even thinking, usually, when you hear drone today, you're not even thinking about like the Predator drone, which is like a full blown.
No, that's what I used to think. I still think that.
Right. You do? Okay.
I still think of the death machine that can take down a village in like a second. I don't think about the... And I had a drone I got it as like a white elephant gift for Christmas. I stole it from my brother. It's like,
right.
It's crazy. That's another thing though. It's like, it's crazy to think that they got all these wide applications now because they're so much cheaper now.
Yeah.
Like back then it was
they
were like several hundreds of dollars. I think the one I got was probably like $60. It was made by Sharper Image, like from the Airplane catalog.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, drones have just become increasingly popular, across all of the world. Like, they're readily accessible for everybody because of the manufacturing ability, right?
You can get one on Wish. You can get one on Wish.
Get one on Wish.
Not going to work very well,
possibilities are endless. Although we have readily available drones and things like that, we're still kind of in the early stages of development. But they have a lot of potential, of potential.
I always like to bring up the money around drones, right? Or around anything that we're talking about. So if you guys had to guess the current size of the market, what would you say for drones? I'll give you a hint. It's in the billions.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the billions.
83 billion.
I don't think it was.
That was pretty close.
100.
86.
Oh. You're not letting me.
By 2025, estimated to be 127 billion.
Oh, I was gonna go lower. I wouldn't have gotten it even.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but
the
crazy thing
that's
is
more than what we spend on education here.
The commercial side alone. So the commercial side is expected to grow at 19% from 2023 to 2025.
The commercial side, as opposed to what?
as opposed to the military or the I would say, and I'm
industrial?
guessing, well, maybe industrial, yeah, maybe less agriculture side and that side, but more of like, I'm thinking logistics, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Well, when you
everything's
said
being
commercial,
dropped off by
my
a drone.
first thought was the 19% increase in commercial was just home use. Was my immediate thought.
It could be, yeah,
Like,
or
Are
you
you
know,
talking
drones that
videography
just, like,
or
wash your roof and stuff like that. Instead of buying a fire
yeah.
extinguisher and sticking a fire extinguisher underneath your sink, you just have a drone on standby that just, if there's a fire, the smoke alarm goes off, the drone just goes up, looks for a fire. If it sees one, it puts it out. Like, stuff like that is what I'm thinking.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
It's just a little fire extinguisher with wings. That's
Pretty
awesome.
much, yeah.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Autonomous fire extinguisher with wings, yeah, and surveillance too, security surveillance. You've seen Ring's drone video where they have a drone that goes up and just maps your house, and flies around your house.
It's a
and
little home sentry.
Yeah, it's a little sentry, and it securely, like, it goes around. Like, if you're on vacation or something, it'll fly around your house and make sure nobody's in your house, and then go back to its
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that is so incredible.
Straight out of
vibes.
Mission Impossible. Straight
Yeah.
out
Yeah,
of Mission Impossible
what?
for your home.
That is
pretty
awesome.
Cool.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. But again, we're just scratching the surface with this stuff.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into some more of the stuff that's out like right now and some of the stuff that's coming in the future. But I think it's really important to realize where we've come from with drones, right? So the first drone or UAV, because they go hand in hand, right? The first UAV was actually built in 1917 during World War I. Yes,
really?
It was called the Kettering bug, and it was developed by the UK to basically fly off of radio waves.
Did it ever like hold on?
What do you mean by fly off of radio waves? Like
you would send a radio signal,
right?
And you would send a radio signal, and you could control it based off the radio signal.
Well, that's what we do now, right? Like that's what Wi-Fi is, right? So,
right, exactly. Yeah. But the cool part about it, though, I mean, you think like this is World War One. Right, like the radio waves. That's
where I'm like hanging up right now. I'm like, well, hold up now. They thought to build a drone using radio waves in World War One, and it was functional.
Yeah, I think it was a prototype only. But
I'm still having trouble picturing this. What like?
Yeah, I am too. This is nuts.
Like, is this like a device, or is this like a
yes,
a
it is.
So
what it is? No, it's basically a bomb. Okay, is what it looks like. It could be used, I guess, for surveillance too, but it was aerial. It's a biplane with a torpedo in the middle of it, and it just looks like a torpedo on a biplane, and that's what it looks like. And I think it's pretty small. Yeah.
No wonder our drone does that. They're genetic. It goes all the way back.
They're genetic. It's in their genes. They're born
My grandpappy
that way, bro.
was a drone in World War One. Okay, Grandpa.
Yeah. So we go there, right? So that's where it started, and then in the 1959, so during the I believe the Vietnam War.
Yeah, 1960s.
I could be wrong on that.
No, 1960s.
Yeah, they were probably used in the Vietnam War, but it was called the Ryan Firebee, and this was basically a wing-mounted launchable rocket drone that was able to fly and remotely hit targets, but it was remotely controllable. And so it was this big old red fucking thing that would sit on the side of a plane, then it would launch off and you could remotely control it. Just like like a missile today, but it was remote controlled, right? And then they used them all throughout the Vietnam War, and then you get into the 1970s, and they actually had a smaller version of the SR-71 that was completely remote controlled.
Oh, wow.
And so you could pilotless remote SR-71 basically. I forget the name of it, but it was maybe it was the D-21. That's what it was. It was the D-21. And so it was just again a plane that could fly, remotely.
And this was during the Vietnam War?
Right.
How did they get
that's wild.
How did they get it to is it just like it had a preset like just one straight path? And it was just
no, you could control it.
No, it was radio waves, so you were sending signals back and forth like a remote control car.
Yeah,
like a literal remote control. I think I've had the same
exactly
sketch.
how we do it now.
I think I had the same idea in 4th grade. I have a sketch somewhere. I'll call my mom. I'm sure she's got the drawing somewhere.
They stole it from you. It was Greg's idea all along.
Well, they had to talk with my teacher because I was drawing weapons at school. So it was like, I had a good idea. See? They'd use it all the way back in the Vietnam War.
Oh my gosh.
But we continue from the 70s all the way up to today, right? So in 2013 we had the first drone that was used to deliver a pizza, and then going up to 2015 the FAA actually started recognizing it. I don't know if you guys ever heard about that, but there was like, when drones first hit the market, it was like basically free range. You could do whatever you wanted to.
Yeah,
it was completely wild.
Dangerous. Yeah.
Absolutely it was. And so now, of course, there's all these regulations about where you can fly them, how you
and
can fly them,
tracking and stuff like that. There's drones have to be fitted now with a specific radio wave ID so that they can be identified by police, and they have to communicate with each other and stuff like that. There's all these regulations now in place. And if you're not registered, like if your drone's not registered, the police will just snag it up with their personal drone.
The problem is that none of us here are professional drone, users or operators, and so, we just see the code, underlying code, and the underlying algorithms, and all the technology that goes into them. We leave the legal stuff to the legal experts, right, on where you can use them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think what were you saying?
No, I was just saying, does that cover the what else happened with drones? We stopped at 2015.
So that was around 2015, and then we go into 2017, and then the FAA has its first rules and regulations for drone racing, which was a whole other thing that came out, right? So I'm sure, I've never actually personally been to one, but I've seen of them on YouTube, and
you've
heard
clips
about
and stuff. They're wild.
Oh yeah. You see the speed that those things go at, and how quickly they navigate.
How do they respond to the people flying them? How the hand-eye coordination must be insane.
Oh, I know. I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine. And you see, again, thinking about from basically from the Predator drone, right, of being able to see and everything else, and now you've got the VR headsets. So you can just strap on a VR headset and you can control
and
the
then
drone.
it's going 100 miles an hour. Just whoosh.
Yeah. Yeah. An interesting car fact for our car people out there. The Range Rover Autobiography had a special kit a couple years ago, and it may still have this, but it's you can buy it with a drone, and the drone will deploy from the back of the Range Rover, and it will follow you and get really cool shots of you driving your Range Rover.
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
that was
one of the other things that Range Rover does that's just completely ridiculous, but it's
I could
still
see
really cool.
In the future that would be really cool to have a drone that launches out of your car to survey an area. If you pull over and you're I want to go, if I have a Ford Bronco or something, and I'm I want to go on this off-beaten trail, but I'm not too positive, so I just press a button and a drone comes popping out and surveys the area and is okay, it can either send a heat map back to you, or it could tell you oh, this path's not going to be good for your Ford Bronco, because it knows the car, right? So I mean, that'd be really cool. That'd be an awesome application, I think, for off-road.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
No, that would be great.
But for first responders too. That'd be really cool.
Right.
Pull up in a fire truck, you have 15 drones come out and just fly around, check the area out, and respond back.
Right. And then you have, in addition to, so continuing on, we now have, 2020s where the pandemic leads to a huge surge in not just the use of drones, but also the development of how do we deliver all these things without contacting or touching people, right? How do we limit person-to-person interaction? Well, you use a drone. Even something as simple as and I don't know if Amazon ever did this, but taking a small package, hooking it to a drone from the curb, and delivering it to the door, right?
Yep.
If it's a package that someone needs to sign for, you could literally just deliver that and then have it fly right back.
I don't know if it's Amazon, but there are companies that do that in California.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, no, it absolutely crazy. So the logistics overall, right? And we're going to get into that, but just talking about the size and scale that this is going to grow is just, you're going to see, just like Amazon, how everyone uses Amazon today, you're going to see drones flying by every day here in the next couple of years. So
it's not just going to be drones. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a totally new concept. It'll be drones, but it'll be a new concept of drones, a different way of seeing drones. But I'll go into
the
that
FAA,
later.
Yeah, the FAA has really cleared the path for it, though, because they've now put out rules. So 2021, they put out rules for delivery of food and other goods. So they put out rules for that. And then in 2022, they put out rules for medical supplies being delivered by drones.
That's interesting. Okay.
So they are definitely making a path for, drones to become very, very widespread. I think it's just the capital at this point that everyone's waiting for.
So, Rocket, I was thinking, man, like everything that's going on in the Ukraine war and everything, I've seen a lot of, like, news snippets and stuff with, like, people using drones in the Ukraine wars. Do you know anything about that? I didn't get to look too much into it.
So I have been following the drone usage in the Ukraine war since the beginning, mainly watching the Ukrainians drop bombs on Russian soldiers using,
with
drones.
We talked
commercial
about
drones.
this before in
That's
a
right,
previous episode.
We did.
About that guy on YouTube was testing it out too as well, dropping just like lead bomb shaped like things onto like old cars.
Oh my gosh, that's nuts.
Yes, but now they're dropping actual bombs on the Russians, and they've continued to do that. In fact, they just did an attack. It was like in Moscow using drones. Yeah,
were these like sank... U.S. military supplied drones, or are they like where are these drones?
I thought these were just drones.
I haven't heard any.
I'm pretty sure the U.S. military is supplying them with drones as well.
So the U.S. military is supplying them, I believe, with some kinds of drones, but a lot of these drones are like just DJIs or DJIs.
Oh, wow. So just like makeshift stuff. Just like, here's a commercially ready drone, and I'm just going to jerry rig it with a grenade.
Yep. Basically just put it like, because like I'm sure DJI sells some little like release hook. Right?
Yeah,
they sell some little release hook on the bottom.
Too, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it's just plugs into the DJI drone, and then you just attach a grenade to it, and then as soon as it drops, it pulls the pin, and there you go.
Wow, that's
nice. Do you guys remember several years back during like the Iraq War and all that, and footage was found of like a Toyota truck being used for like war and stuff? It had like a little minigun attached to the bed of it, and it still had like the plumber's name on it and stuff, like the company from it. It was a whole expose on like where trucks go. Is it going to be like that with drones, where it's like, oh no, it was seen that the Ukraine war has been using like sharper image drones to drop these bombs on everybody.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say
that's exactly what they're doing. Yeah. Well, that's what they're already doing. I mean, they're using,
what are the name brands? What are some name brands for the drones?
DJI is one of them. Yeah,
there's other ones, but I mean DJI.
I meant the ones that
you
can buy. You can find at like Best Buy and stuff.
DJI, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
DJI, yes.
Okay.
It's like commercially ready available drone. Like just.
Oh no, I owned a drone for a whole.
Buy that.
I owned the drone for like a whole day. I had to give it back to him. My brother was so disappointed.
Oh.
So in Ukraine, right? So Greg, when we talk about, again, these commercial, and I'm focusing on the commercial ones. I'm not focusing on necessarily the military spec drones.
Okay.
I'm focusing on your everyday drone that has been repurposed by the Ukrainian military to fight, right? So obviously reconnaissance, right? Number one, drones, they were built to fly fast and smooth and get, imagery, right?
Yep.
Perfect example of how they're using that, right? Delivering supplies, right? And not just supplies, but so they're also delivering, we talked about the grenades, but they're also delivering instructions for Russian soldiers to surrender. And then they're having the Russian soldiers follow these drones back to be captured.
That's pretty cool, actually.
They throw them in war prison. How'd you get here? A drone captured me.
I mean, but think about it.
But it's voluntarily surrendering. It's not necessarily.
Yeah, it's voluntarily surrendering. It's basically like, look, we've got a drone with a grenade attached to it that's flying right next to this one, so you can either surrender or we can bomb you, or you can try to run back to, the previous line where your own. Yeah. Well, your own. But here's the problem, though. All those Russians that are on the front line, their own military is shooting at them.
Yeah.
If they try to retreat. Like they're killing. If they try to retreat, they're killing them.
It's disgusting.
For these Russian soldiers, it's like I will take the surrender where I'm going to get food. I'm going to live in a jail cell.
Want out of this.
But I'm going to be treated like a human rather than just be killed if I don't go die. Right.
That's right.
Man, I hadn't heard about that. About the messages and the grenades.
They're doing more than that, though, right, Rocket? There's even more than that than just the messages and the grenades and stuff. Like, there's even more, like, good things that they're doing. not
Yeah,
necessarily
they're also
violent,
evacuating civilians, right?
Yeah.
So just like with the Russian soldiers, they're also, directing people. They're able to, again, you're able to get into a tight space without physically having to be there, or into a war zone without physically having to be there. And you can see from above, for example, the best escape route for, people to get out. And that's a great way to use it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
The other thing that is less talked about, but just the psychological warfare at this point with drones. I mean, drones have been killing so many of Russian soldiers and been making so many surrender. Just hearing a drone now on the Russian side is demoralizing. So really, really interesting that a drone could strike fear right into someone's soul.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And then of course all the other things that you can imagine, right? Like they can carry radio jammers, right? Maybe it doesn't jam their signal, but they can jam Russian radio, right? If they know the frequency, and they can temporarily jam that. And then you've also got spotting enemy targets, right? You can attach a thermal camera to it,
communication knowledge, kind of stuff. Right? Yeah.
And then something as simple as just distracting
them. Yeah, that's
perfect. You may have nothing on it, but they're gonna start shooting at you, giving away their position.
I mean, like imagine like a drone buzzing, getting like really close to your head every 2 seconds, and you're like in the middle of a warfare, and you're just it's like shit,
exactly.
So Rocket, I wanted to talk to you about as we're talking about this Ukraine situation and how drones are being used today. This kind of leads us into the future and the potential drones can have in situations like this. And one concept that I think a lot of people are concerned about is this swarm kind of concept, where you can set down like a box that's pre-programmed, and it's got like a map on it. So all the drones in the box has like a map of the area. Then all the drones are programmed with a specific mission in mind, right?
Right.
And then you set down like 2 or 3 boxes, and they all communicate with each other, and each box has 200 to 300 drones. Press a button, and they all just come swarming out.
This is what they do at like EDM concerts, where they're like all.
But they only do it with like 100 drones or so, and they're pretty spaced apart, and they take a long time to like make the shapes and stuff. I actually saw this in Vietnam. During Lunar New Year, they do like the drone shows, and it takes a while to make those shapes, and there's a lot to it. They have to lay out like a whole field. There's like and you can't do that in the middle of a battle. You can't just go into the enemy territory and lay out a whole perimeter around the enemy territory and place drones perfectly all over the place. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is something.
Right.
This swarming concept
it's going to require.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to require. Exactly. And it requires the ability for those drones to have the onboard compute to be able to make those decisions, where there's not always a radio signal to phone back home that is a clear and consistent path. So you have to be able to pack.
Drone. You need a mother drone, and if that drone gets shut down, the next drone has to become the mother drone, and so on and so on.
Right. And this is taking us into really the future of, how drones, and this is not just on the battlefield. I mean, you think about the swarm technology on the battlefield of being able to, like you said, drop a box, 200 drones fly out, they start killing people, essentially, right? Or they're doing some massive reconnaissance campaign.
Or even worse, they're little drones, and each drone is like a claymore kind of bomb.
Yeah.
Right? And they're disposable, and they're made out of disposable material. That's like maybe $50 to make each drone. That's nothing to the military. And then you go and they go, and they just bomb the whole town. And
oh god, a pipe bomb with wings, pretty much.
Just
make it out of like material that would like shrapnel more, like fiberglass. And the scariest
part about this is once the programming is there, then doing it at home is easy.
Right.
You mentioned a box, like a main box to like control all of them. What if like there wasn't a box?
Not to control, not to control. Just to again, think of it like as a missile silo almost, right? You just have all the missiles that just are slid in there, but instead of missiles, you got drones.
Shoot the missile out, right? Something that's gonna, you put the missile into something, and then you gotta aim the missile, and then you gotta shoot it, right? So we have this box, and this box comes pre-programmed with all these drones. The drones are all pre-programmed.
Oh, okay.
Right. But instead of shooting out missiles that require, jet propulsion, and they go, really, really fast, now you've got drones that are, instead of being shot out right when an enemy comes near, maybe they're already deployed 10 minutes earlier, and they're hiding, and they're waiting.
Or even worse, you're not even hiding. You send a SEAL team with 3 guys, and each one of them's carrying a box. and then they go.
Yep.
They're outside. They're just outside the perimeter. Nobody's seen them. They just put down the box, open it up, maybe get
and
out
then walk away.
Get out of the war zone. Press a button, and you just hear it. Boom, 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 boom.
I could have sworn I've seen this movie. Isn't this like that? The Rock and Jason Statham guy.
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham, yeah.
Are you thinking of Hobbs and Shaw?
Hobbs and Shaw, yeah. Didn't they have the same concept
have to rewatch
as well?
that movie. I don't remember seeing them do something with drones in that movie.
I don't remember that either. I remember it in was it White House Down?
Maybe White House Down had something
with Morgan Freeman, the one where Morgan Freeman was president, and all the drones came and attacked. Right, that's exactly that. That's really
kind
what
of like that, yeah. Except much more frightening because they would be little and they would be super fucking fast, and you wouldn't see.
Yeah, they are. In that movie, they are. They're launched from a van. Yeah, they're launched from a van, and they come in like the hundreds come in. Yeah, it was really good. It was really cool. But that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, you would be able.
And
to
the scary part is. Yeah, the scary part is the technology exists today.
It does. The technology exists. It's capable of doing it. The problem is we have to be able to have a artificial intelligence and compute, like program, to actually have the drones communicate with each other in an effective way where they can fly in an instant and blow stuff up. Right? Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
Now I know I've seen that movie, and I know that one doesn't really end well either. My God, we're getting closer and closer to like action movie plots in real life.
We absolutely are. We are in the future. And in 10 to 15 years, we won't be able to recognize the world today.
Right.
We'll be
and we're talking about, drones from a military side, but even from the logistics side, Amazon for a very long time has had the concept that a drone mothership is flying over a major city, constantly bringing packages up and then deploying little drones down, right? And that's been a thing from Amazon for a very long time. I mean, I know that they're ambitious.
My immediate thought is that seems not very effective. When you can have facilities that drones can launch from too. Like if you just have little drones, because you talk about having a massive mothership constantly up in the air. How do you provide energy to that? And if even let's say it's solar, right? You still have maintenance. You have all this. There's like the logistics of that is impossible. Versus having a 800 to 1,000 square foot plot of land with a shipping container acting as like a base of operations where the drones launch from.
Right. Well, the idea I think behind it is that you could have kind of like an Amazon truck, right? It's not necessarily one big mothership for the entire city, but you've got like, say like 100 for like the city of Dallas, right?
Which
it's the ability.
Not in the sky. Yeah.
Well, maybe, but flying something. Say that you're gonna, do for example, the big ship is the Amazon truck, and the little drones that come out are the people that actually deliver the packages. Right. So you're going along delivery routes, and instead of having one person get in and out.
But you're trying to keep that mothership up in the air like 24/7? Like, I don't know.
No, not 24/7. I don't think so. I think it's like a electric, truck or whatever, right?
Like
because think about this.
Oh, you're talking about like if we had zip codes. Like if we just did it per zip code, we had a big old ship.
I wouldn't even. I'd say it's smaller than zip codes. I'd say smaller than zip codes. Say it's the size of an Amazon truck. And or say it's double the size of an Amazon truck because it has to fit the drones too.
You're saying literally double the size of an Amazon truck, not like figuratively, literally
double the size of an Amazon truck. Okay. So that way you can fit, say, even if you could fit 20 drones in there and you've got them all grabbing packages, it only has to be in the air for an hour because it can cover what a delivery truck could cover in an hour.
Okay.
Right? Because you've got 10 drones that are grabbing packages in and out, no traffic, no stopping, no knocking on doors, no getting in and out,
We'll see about the traffic
packages.
Issue when drones get readily available across all companies, right? Because then you have, McDonald's still making deliveries, you have Subway making deliveries, you have the mall making deliveries, Where does it stop? Yeah.
That is very true. That is very true. I think that the future of drones is almost here. Like it's just right around the corner.
It's right around the corner. And this goes back to our robotics episode as well, our AI episode. Like, all of this is just colliding together as one conglomerate. You know what I mean? And it is, like I said, 10, 15 years, the world is going to be in a state we're not going to be able to recognize.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at the internet, right?
Well,
no one imagined.
25 years. Yeah. If you look at the past 25 years, we've seen a consistent growth in technology, and it's like, cool, this is impressive. We have phones with touch screens.
But it's at such an exponential rate.
Yeah.
That it's just like
it's going to be at an exponential it's going to be at such an exponential rate that it's like we go from flip phones to touch phones to AI, drones, robotics taking over everything.
Right.
Like, okay.
It just,
like yeah, it was just
straight
like,
up.
Oh, this is neat. Oh, so whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, because you're getting more and more people trained in those fields, and so more and more people are collaborating together. And there's the baseline for something that is new and something that is emerging just keeps going higher and higher and higher.
Yeah, and the more we learn, the faster we build. Yeah, and with the help of AI, right? Once AI is at that point, we go from growing at our current rate to growing at a rate that's kind of unpredictable at the moment, because AI will be assisting us in that growth.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
So,
guys. It's going to be...
Rocket, closing thoughts.
My closing thoughts on this is that we need to be thankful for the jobs that we have now because of all the technology that's coming out.
We need to be thankful for the life that we have now. The life that we have now won't be available in 10 years.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It'll be a different... This is what I mean by it'll be a different world. 10, 15 years. I mean, our way of thinking is going to be completely changed.
Yeah. I mean, like, I go back to thinking about how Amazon changed everyone's mindset of how quickly you can get something and how desperate you can become to need something.
Goods. How we
consume goods. Yeah.
We don't.
And how we acquire goods.
Yeah.
How we acquire goods. I mean, until Amazon, right, and until the internet, you only knew what existed based off
what was in front of your face.
What was in front of your face? Yeah. Well, or the newspaper, right?
That's
maybe the newspaper was advertising.
Literally in front of your face. Yeah. You have to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And now, you can order anything from anywhere in the world and it can show up on your doorstep in, about 2 to 3 business days. So, and so the future of that, though, is that you're going to now have, I mean, the other thing I think about, right, and technology is like this all the way around with like AI, but drones specifically, because they are physical just like a human, they can work 24/7. They don't need holidays, which means that you can, on Christmas Day at 5 a.m., you can order something and have it there by 7
I forgot my anniversary. Boom, drone at your door. Yep.
Exactly. Because you're not relying on humans that have to be paid in labor and hours and, unions and all of that stuff. Like, you can just do it. And I'm talking about Amazon, but in any industry, right, that you're doing logistics or...
But this is
really
why
logistics
we're saying
point,
AI is dangerous, right? It's not because AI is dangerous because it's smart and can take over our jobs and do all this. It's because we're integrating it with everything.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly. Because you're building these models to be able to think for themselves, and so they're going to run not just as efficient as you make them today, but they're going to find the mistakes that you made and start fixing those mistakes that you made in their own programming.
Right.
And then they'll be more and more efficient.
That's in a siloed way today. It's not true like conscientious AI, right?
Right.
The day we reach an AI that has its own conscious and it decides, I don't want to do this anymore. That's the AI we're afraid of.
Yeah, the sentience is where it gets scary.
Yeah.
So, all right, gents. Well, I think we covered drones pretty good. We covered, let's see, what did we cover, Red? We covered how much the fucking market is for drones right now. Holy shit. Huge. If you're wanting to start a drone company, go for it, because 20% year over year. So if you have any expertise in drones, now's the time to do it.
Bite the bullet.
Yeah, and that doesn't just include the hardware, right? That includes software. That includes, things that interact with the drones. And no, I mean, not even be the software that runs the drones, right?
Being a middleman. Providing, like, even regulation, if you can get into the politics of it,
Yeah. Yeah,
get
so
get
a lot
lobbied
of
by big drone companies.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Daddy drone.
money that is being pumped into drones. Yeah, Big Daddy drone.
Yeah.
And then let's see, what else did we talk about? We talked about the Ukraine war and how the Ukrainians are using just a ton of drone technology to help them fight the Russians. And then we also talked about, the history of drones. Crazy, going back to World War One. That's just absolutely bonkers.
That is really wild.
Yeah, and we then talked about, the future. So, fun episode. Thanks everyone for joining. Until next time, we'll see you later.
See you guys later.